Hello, Sumates. How you all doing? I hope everything is in good shape. On behalf of Gifted Hands Fashion House, I will be teaching you how to make an off-shoulder flounce dress. Yes, an off-shoulder flounce dress, just like the one you are seeing now. To make an off-shoulder flounce dress, you need the following measurements. You need your off-shoulder measurement. Your off-shoulder measurement could be -5, -6, -7, depending how revealing you want the off-shoulder to be. Then you also need your bust measurement, your bust point measurement, your under bust measurement, your nipple to nipple measurement, half length measurement. You need your hip measurement, your waistline to your hip line. You need your waistline to your above knee line measurement, and you also need your full length measurement. Of course, you need your sleeve measurement too. But when we get to the point of making our sleeve, I'll give you the detailed measurement you'll be needing for your sleeve. Yes, you also need your under bust circumference. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Your under bust circumference. You need your waist measurement too. I'll be working with an under bust with an off shoulder measurement of -6. You can make it -5 if you want. You can make it -4. You can make it -7. It's your choice. But what I want to use is -6. Now, since this dress is going to have a half length measurement, it then means we are going to first work with the upper bodies. And when we are done working with the upper bodies, we'll now move to the lower bodies. But had it been there is no half length measurement in it, then we are going to take the measurement together. I hope you are following. So since there's a half length measurement in our measurement, it then means we are first going to work with our upper bodies from half length to above will give us our upper bodies measurement, and then from half length below will give us our lower bodies measurement. So we are going to work first with our upper bodies, and since we are working with our upper bodies, the biggest part of our upper bodies is our bust measurement. Okay, the biggest part of our upper bodies is our bust measurement. But had it been there is no half length, there's no half length measurement, you want to cut the gown together, the biggest part becomes our hip measurement. But for now, since it's going to be divided with a half length, so the biggest part becomes our bust measurement, and we're working with a bust of 37. You divide your bust measurement by 4. 37 divided by 4 will give you 9.25. Then you can add like between 5 to 6 inches seam allowance, depending how you can manage it. If you are able to effectively manage your fabric, you can equally add 4 inches. So 37 divided by 4 is 9.25, and then I'll add like 5 inches to get 14.25. That means I'll be folding this fabric with 14.25. Now measure out 14.25 from this fabric. But before you start measuring, make sure you fold it. So my fabric is on fold here, and then when I take my measurement to get 14.25 for my bust, this is 14.25. I have almost 14.75. I'm okay with this. Now this 14.25, I'll be folding my fabric with 14.25 all through. Okay, so what I'll do now is to get my half length measurement so that I can cut it off. Now I have this line here. I marked out 1 inch for my starting point. This line here is called the starting point. You just need it so that you can place your tape rule while taking measurements below. So this is my starting point, and then I told you my off shoulder, I'll be using -6 for the off shoulder. You can use any figure you want. I'm using -6 for my own. So I'll place it on that -6 to get my half length, and I'm working with a half length of 17. This is 17 here, so I'll mark it all through. I've marked my 17. See it here. I place my tape this way. minus 6 because it's an off shoulder dress, minus 6 to get my 17. This is my minus 6 here, and I got my 17 here. And I'll equally need allowance to join this upper part to the lower part. So I can use like 1 inch seam allowance or 1.5, depend how you manage it. So I've added my seam allowance. I will now cut off so that I can work with my fabric perfectly. I'll cut off from here. This is my fabric. I've cut it out. The next thing is to get my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple is 7.5, and you must divide your nipple to nipple by 2. When you divide 7.5 by 2, you get 3.75. Now for me to get my 3.75, I'll have to fold this fabric like this. I'll fold it like this, making sure what I folded here is exactly my nipple to nipple measurement. Then I'll add ½ inch to join my nipple to nipple measurement. I'll add ½ inch. So I'll take the measurement I have here. Measure out what I have here. So I have here is 3.75. Now this is my 3.75. Make sure the 3.75 goes all the way. Okay. This is my 3.75. So I've folded my 3.75, which is my nipple to nipple. See it, you fold it like this, fold it inside like this, and then you make sure what you have here is your nipple to nipple measurement. Now I'll place my tape like this on my starting point line. This is a starting point line. I'll place my tape like this to get my bust point, my chest line first. I'll get my chest line. I'm working with a chest line of 8.5. Here's my 8.5 here. And the next measurement I need is my bust point, which is 9.5. See it here. The next measurement I need is my under bust measurement, which is 13. And next, I'll need my half length measurement, which is 17. See the 17. And then my seam allowance. So I'm going to connect all these lines. I've connected the lines. This is my starting point. This is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my half length or my waist measurement. Anyone can go. And then my seam allowance. Remember, you place your tape like this before taking the measurement. I'm using minus 6. So I placed it like this to get 8.5, 9.5, 13, and then 17, and then my seam allowance. The next stage now is to take my dart. I want to mark the dart on this area. So the first thing to do, I'm going to remove 1 inch from this upper part. I'll place it like this and then mark out 1 inch. This is my 1 inch. I don't need to mark anything on these two places, on my chest line and my bust point yet. Then I'll go to my under bust measurement. I need to mark like 1.5 or 1.75. Anyone can go. Depends how you want it. So I'm marking 1.5. And then on my waistline, which is also my half length, here it depends on the size of the person you are working for. If the person you are sewing for is on a large size, try to make it 1.25 here, okay, or even 1. But if the person is on a slim side, just extend what you have here, what you have on your under bust area, extend it straight down. So for this particular work, the person I'm sewing this cloth for is it's not on the fat side, neither is she on the slim side. So I'll just make it 1.25, okay? The next thing I need to do here, I'll have to connect this these marks I have here. I'll have to connect the darts. But On this bust area, which this is my bust point, at this bust point area, if I don't mark half inch up here, my I'm going to have I'm going to the mark I'll have on my bust point is going to be pointed. So what I need now is to mark half inch on this bust point area. So I'll place my tape like this. On my bust point, I'll place it reverse direction. Can you see it? And then I'll mark half inch there, just like that. So I need to connect the dots now. I'll take the first one like this. From this 1 inch here, I'll take it to this half inch I marked. And then from this half inch I marked, I'll take it to my under bust. You can use this to take your measurement. Sorry, you can use this to mark out your dart. So I'll do it like this. So I've marked from this half inch here down to the 1.5 inch on my under bust, and then I'll extend it to this line here and take it down as well. So you have something like this. Make sure you curve all the sharp edges. Make sure you curve all your sharp edges. So with this now, I'll cut it out now. So I've cut it out now. The next stage is to take my measurement. I need to take the measurement on this side. So I'll start with my shoulder measurement. Even though it's an off shoulder measurement, you still need your shoulder measurement so that you can get your neck line from it. So my shoulder is 15 divided by 2, 7.5. I'll mark my 7.5. But before marking 7.5, I'll check what I have on this one. This is actually the center part. I'll check what I have here. I have about 3. I'll place it like this. I'll remove that 3 that I just checked out. So when I remove the 3, my shoulder measurement is 15 divided to 7.5. This is my 7.5 here. And remember this 7.5, once you're working with an off shoulder, when you get your shoulder measurement, subtract 1.5 or 1 inch from it. Okay, it's a rule, it's a standard. So I have 7.5 here. I'm going to minus 1 inch from my 7.5 to get 6.5. So my shoulder rests here. This is my shoulder measurement. I hope that is clear. The next measurement is my bust measurement. You need to take your bust measurement at your chest line. Always remember that. It's on the chest line you take your bust measurement. I'm working with a bust of 37 divided by 2, 9.5. But before taking that 9.5, what I need to do is to check what I have here. I have 3.5 from this point to this point here. Okay, you can see it. I have 3.5. So I'm going to remove that 3.5 like this before checking my 9.5. Sorry, my 9.25. How do I get 9.25? My bust is 37. 37 divided by 4 will give me 9.25. So I'll check my 9.25 here. And then I need to add about 3 inches to 4 inches seam allowance. So when I add it to 9.25, I'll get 13.25. I added 4 inches to 9.25 to get 13.25. Here's my 13.25. Are you following me? The next measurement I need to take here now is my waist measurement, which is, my under bust measurement. I need to take my under bust measurement. I'm working with an under bust of 31. 31 divided by 4. So 31, which is my under bust circumference. 31 divided by 4 is 7.75 plus 4 inches seam allowance, you get 11.75. So I'm going to measure out what I have here first. I have about 2.35. Place it like this, okay, and then I'll measure out my measurement, which is 11.75. So this is my 11.75 here. The next measurement is going to be my waist measurement, or the half length measurement. So to get my waist measurement, I'll place it on my half length, and then I'll check what I have equally. So I have about 2.75 here. Remove it this way, 2.75, and then check what I have left. So to check what I have left, I have a waist of 33. 33 divided by 4, you get 8.5. 8.5 plus 4 will now give me 12.5. So this is my 12.5 here. Remember, I added 4 inches seam allowance, so I have more than enough. So I'm okay with whatever I have here. Now I'll need to connect these lines, but before I do that, I'll have to connect my armhole. So here's my off shoulder armhole. I connected what I had here to what I have on my bust, and then I'll connect these ones two together. Just whatever you have, you connect it. So I'm going to cut off from here. I don't have much to cut, so I'll just trim it. So this is it. This is what I have for my upper body's front. This is actually the front area for the off shoulder upper bodies. Here's what I came out with after cutting. For the neck line, I'm going to do that after I must have finished padding, attaching my pads. I prefer doing this. I prefer cutting out my neckline when I'm done padding, okay? And then we have this for the front part. We're now going to make the back part, and then also remember that 1 inch you mark here, you're going to cut it out, you're going to cut it off. See it, this 1 inch, you're going to cut it off. So I'll definitely cut off that 1 inch. It's not going to be here. So we have this. In case you have any question on this particular front area basic bodies, let me know in the comment section. Now let's go to the back part of this work. Thank you. This is the back part of the upper bodies. Now what I will do now here, I need to fold my fabric the same way I did for the front part. I'm folding with a bust measurement of 37 divided by 4 is 9.25 plus 5 inches seam allowance 14.25. But since this is the back, I need to add my zip allowance. I'm working with a zip allowance of 2 inches. So 14.25 plus 2 will give me 16.25. So my actual measurement here should be 16.25, and that's what I have here. Now I'll have to take my half length measurement. To get my half length measurement, I need to remove minus my off shoulder. Remember, it's an off shoulder, so always remember this. Don't go and place your tape like this. Always remove minus whatever you want to remove from your off shoulder. So you can equally have your starting point here if you want. You can still place it on your starting point if you want. So let's mark 1 inch for our starting point. So here is my starting point, 1 inch. 1 inch. I marked out 1 inch for my starting point. See it here. And then I marked out my zip allowance, which is 2 inches. See it here. So what I'll do next, I'll place my -6 like this to get my half length. I'm working with a half length of 17 inches. I'll mark it all the way like this. -6, 17 here. -6, and then 17. So I'm going to connect this line and also mark my allowance. So I've marked my half length and then my allowance. You can use 1 inch, you can use 1.5 for the allowance, you can use 2 inches. It depends how you want it, so that most times when you mark like half inch for your seam allowance, you tend to have issues with the allowance. Okay, so to avoid such issue, just mark an allowance you can perfectly manage. I'll cut this out now so that I can work with this actual part of the fabric. I've cut it out. Now I'll mark my measurements. The first is my chest line measurement. I'm working with a chest line of 8.5. So I'll place my tape rule like this on my 6 inches line, and then I'll get my 8.5. Here's the 8.5. And then the next measurement is my underbust measurement, which is 13. I'll mark it. And then this is my half length measurement and seam allowance. So I have to connect these lines. I've connected the lines and I equally marked out my nipple to nipple measurement. Mind you, while you're marking the nipple to nipple for your back fabric, you place it after your zip area. Okay, so I placed it after my zip area, my zip mark. I placed it on this line, and then I'll take my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.75. That is 7.5 divided by 2, and then I marked it out. So this is my nipple to nipple line. Now the next thing is to take my dart. I'm not folding this the way I did for the front. You can see I left it open like that. So I'll now take my dart. To take my dart, okay, this is my starting point. This is my chest line. This is my underbust, my half length and seam allowance. Now to take my dart, always remember the back dart starts from your chest line, but 1 inch below your chest line. So this is my chest line measurement. I'll mark out 1 inch below it. See it here. 1 inch below my chest line. So my back dart is going to start from here. Now what I need to do, I'll mark on this nipple to nipple line. I'll mark 1 inch, sorry, half inch here, and mark half inch the other side. So when I place my tape like this, I'll mark half inch and then half inch on this other part like this. So I'll connect it to this this mark here, this 1 inch mark here. So I've marked my dart. You can see it. I connected it from here down and took it also from here down. Now the next thing to do is to take my side measurements. So to do that, I'll start with my my shoulder part. So I'll start with my shoulder measurement. I'll place it like this. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2, 7.5. Now remember, you have to subtract 1 inch or 1.5. I did 1 for the front, so I'll do 1 for this one too. So when I remove 1, I have 6.5. And then the next measurement, on the chest line, you take your bust measurement. So my bust measurement happens to be 37 divided by 4, 9.25, plus 4 inches seam allowance. That's 13.25. So I'll place my tape rule like this to get my 13.25, which is here. Now what I need to do now, I'll connect this too. You can do it, curve it just a bit. It's not as curved as an ordinary shoulder measurement, okay? And then I'll take the next measurement, which is my underbust measurement. I'm working with an underbust of 31 divided by 4 is 7.75, plus 4 inches seam allowance. Plus 4 inches seam allowance, you get 11.75. Now this 11.75, remember I have a dart of 1 inch here. So I'm going to add that 1 inch here to get 12.75. And then the next measurement is my waist measurement. So on the half length, you take your waist measurement. And I'm working with a waist of 33. 33 divided by 4, I have 8.5 plus 4 inches seam allowance, I have 12.5. Now I also have a dart here of 1 inch. So 12.5 plus 1 inch, 13.5, and I'll mark it out. So I need to connect these lines together. It goes like this, and this one. Remember, there's need to curve all sharp edges. So I'm going to cut it off from here. I'll open up my zip area, but before I open it up, I'll have to notch it from here. I'll notch this part, and then notch it also here. And also, I'll notch my dart area and notch also here. But it's more advisable to notch from the center so that you already know we are going to remove your ½ inch on both sides. So I'll split open my zip area. So I've done it. And then remember this 1 inch here, I wouldn't be needing it. So I'll just cut it off. Same with the front, I have to cut off that 1 inch from the front. Now this is my back fabric, I'm done with it. And then I'll need also to move to the next one. So if you have any question pertaining to this back area, let me know in the comment section. I'll be there to answer all your questions. Now let's move to the lower part. Okay, we are on the lower part of our dress, and this lower part, I'll be cutting the front part of my lower part, the front part of the lower dress. Now to make this front part, the biggest part of my front of this lower part is my hip measurement. So I'm folding this fabric with my hip measurement. I'm working with a hip of 39 divided by 4. I have 9.75 plus 3 inches seam allowance. I have 12.75. So I'm going to measure out 12.75 all through this fabric. Okay, so I have 12.75 all the way down. The next thing to do, I'll take my full length measurement. I need a full length of 56, but since I've gotten my upper bodice with a half length of 17 inches, I'm going to subtract 15 from 17 to get 39. So what I need here is 39 inches. So I'm going to mark it out. This is 39 here. And then I need to add about 2 inches seam allowance to get 41. So I'm going to cut off from here. I'll cut it out now. So I'll be working with this now. Now the first thing to do is to take my waist measurement. The same waist we took on our half length in the upper bodice is the same waist I'm taking here. So my waist measurement is 33. Now I'll divide 33 by 4 to get 8.5 plus 3 inches seam allowance. I'll get 11.5. So I'll mark out 11.5 here. And then I need to add a dart of 1 inch here. So 11.5 plus that of 1 inch, 12.5. I'll mark it here. I'm going to take my waistline to my hip line, like this. At this point on my waistline, I'll place it like this to get my waistline to hip line of 8 inches. See it here. And then it's at this point I'll take my hip measurement. Without this, you cannot know your hip measurement. So I will place it like this to take my hip measurement. Now my hip measurement is 39 divided 4, 9.75 plus 3, 12.75. So I'll mark out my 12.75 here. So this is my waist, this is my hip. Okay. And then the next measurement I'll take now. So the next measurement I'll take now is my on the half length, because the dress I'm making is a pencil dress. So I don't need above knee line here. I'll subtract about 1 inch to 2 inches from this half length here, from my full length. Whatever I got on my hip measurement, see my hip here. My hip is 12.75. This is 12.75. Okay, so whatever I got from my hip measurement, I'll remove like 1 inch or 2 inches from this part, from the full length, so that I can get the pencil. So I'll place it like this, and then I'll measure out. This is 12.75 minus 1, I'll get 11.75, minus another one, I'll get 10.75. So this is my 10.75 here. So I'm going to connect from here. I'll connect here, and then I'll take it to this point. So I've marked out the line, I've connected it, see it here. So I'm going to cut it off now. So I've placed the back fabric under the front lower part. See the front here, and then see the back. But the only thing that is different between this front and the back is the zip allowance. So you can see my zip here, my zip area. I've removed my 2 inches for my zip. So I'm just going to cut off from here exactly what I have at this front. Don't forget your zip allowance. Okay, I've cut it out now. I've cut it out. So I need to, let me first of all mark my dart area. Okay, I need to mark my dart area for this. To mark your dart on the lower part is either you take your nipple to nipple measurement as usual, place it like this. Sorry, your nipple to nipple is my nipple to nipple is 7.5, divided by 2, I have 3.75. So I'll place it like this and mark 3.75. But if I don't want to do it that way, the upper part of the dress, I notched out my dart here. So the places I notched out, I'll simply mark them on this lower part to get my dart. Are you okay with that? Just mark out and notch out as well. And then after marking out, you notch it. Then for the length of the dart, remember your dart shouldn't exceed your hip area. So at worst, let the dart remain at 5 or 6 inches. Leave it at 5 or 6 inches at worst. So this is the length of my dart. I'm going to connect it like this. Then I'm okay. I'll simply notch it out. So I'll open my zip area for this lower part, and that's all for the lower part. And then I'll also cut my lining. I'll cut lining exactly what I have here. But while cutting the lining, make it about 1 inch shorter. Okay, make your lining 1 inch shorter than this length. So this is for the front and back lower part. Then for this upper part, please There's a link below. I placed a link below on how to make pad, on how to cut your padded. I placed the link below on how to cut the interface for this pad, for this upper part. Okay, so check the link below so that you can see how to cut the pad, the interface for this upper part of the blouse. And I'll also be cutting my lining, exactly what I have here. I'll need to sew it up with a lining. So when I get to that stage, I'll let you know. The comment section is for you viewers. If you have any question, please just place it in the comment section. I'll be here to answer all your questions. If you have learned anything meaningful from this video, please give us a thumb up and like our page as well. And then subscribe. We need your subscription. It takes absolutely nothing to subscribe. It's free. So that I'll be more compelled to give you more interesting videos on different challenging work. We also run a fashion school. If you are in Anambra State, Nnewi precisely, join us at Gifted Hands Fashion House. With the number below, you can contact us if you have any questions concerning our fashion school. Okay, we are here again. This is the front part of our upper bodies, and I want to cut the neckline. I don't want it to be straight. I want to cut a circle neckline on the off-shoulder upper bodies. So I'll fold the fabric into two halves like this. Make sure they are equal. And then for the part, please, there's a link below. Check on that link. If you don't know how to cut part, check on our link so you'll be able to learn it from our previous video. Now to make the neckline of this fabric, I want a neck of about 6 inches. So I'll just mark my 6, and then since it's an off shoulder, I'm going to start connecting my neck from this point. Okay, so I'll just, from this 6, take it like this to this point, and then I'll cut it off like this. Hope you are seeing it. So I'm okay with this. So this is what we have here. And then if you want your neck to be deeper than this, you can make it more than 6. It's your choice. But I want mine to be at 6 inches. Now the next thing to do, remember we are going to make a flounce for this gown. And I want the flounce to start from this area, from the armhole area, down to the above knee measurement. So we are going to cut the flounce now. Okay, I'll be using this fabric for my flounce. This is the fabric I'll use to make my flounce. Now to make the flounce, you fold your fabric into 4 parts. Fold the first one like this. Then I'll fold it again like this. Why I'm actually folding like this is so I can be able to figure out the midpoint. So I can get the middle. You can see the center here. Okay. Now from this midpoint, mark it with any chalk. Mark it with a chalk. Actually turn it to the right side so it'll be more clear. Now I'll mark the midpoint. See my midpoint here. Okay, just mark it so you can be able to figure it out. Now I'll open it up. Here is the midpoint. So what I need to do now, I will start taking my measurements. Now this is the midpoint This is my midpoint. And then you form a circle, you create a circle from the midpoint. You create it like this. From this midpoint I marked, I want to start from 2 inches while I go up. Okay, I don't want it equal. I don't want the flounce equal. So I'll do 2 inches, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Now, I want to make the circle with 2 inches. From this midpoint, I'll start taking my 2, just like this. I'll take 2 inches all through, and then I'll connect the circle. Then from any point of this line, any convenient point, I can start another 2 inches. Here's another 2 inches. Are you seeing it? Now what I need to do, at any convenient place, I'll connect this to the 2 inches I started. So then I'll continue marking my 2 inches. Continue marking the 2 inches. So the spiral begins. It's actually going to come out like a spiral. Do you see it? Just like this. Then continue marking it. 2 inches. Also connect this. Now from this point where I started, I'm going to take it down to 3 inches, or 4 even, to 4 inches. And then you make it in a way that it conveniently connects with the 4 inches. You have to remove this. You see it? So I'll continue with 4 now. I'm going with 4. Let's connect this first so we don't get confused. Now at this point where I started, I'm going to extend it to 6 inches. And then when I extend to 6, I'll make sure I connect it so that it fits in perfectly. And then here, you can equally give it any shape of your choice. If you want it straight, if you want it slanted. Now, the next thing I'll do, I need to turn this flounce with another fabric. If you want, you can use the same fabric to do it. If you want to use a different fabric, it's all your choice. But the way you do it is, you place that fabric under before you start cutting, so that you get, and then make sure you use pin to tack it, so that you'll be able to get exactly what you have here. So as you can see, I've cut off the excess on this fabric, and I have just what I want to use for my flounce. Then I've also placed the material I want to use to turn it. I'm actually using the same fabric. That's what I have for now, but you can use lining, you can use satin, any material of your choice. Okay, so I'll now trace this thing out and cut it. I'm going to trace and cut out. So I'm going to cut from this point. I'll be cutting it round. I'm actually cutting two now. So this is what I have here. This is my flounce. See it? It's very long. Yeah. So I'm going to turn the flounce, place the two right sides together like this, and then I'll turn it. I'll sew it up. Sew it and turn over. I'll do it and bring it back for you to see. I've joined the fabric. I've joined the upper part to the lower part. I've also fixed my zip. I've done same for the front part of it. I've joined the upper part to the lower part. So what I need to do now is to fix my my flounce. I'm going to fix my flounce to the front. I'll show you how to fix the flounce. As to fix flounce, you can do that in any. Now I'm going to fix my flounce to the front fabric. To fix your flounce, you can do, it's just about creativity. You can do that in any pattern you chose to. Anyhow you chose to design. It's all about designing the fabric. Okay? So whenever you're fixing the flounce, try as much as possible to sew it like this, so that this rough edge will be inside your fabric. Okay? You can use flounce to create different designs. You can use it to create different designs. It's not something I'm going to teach you here. It's just about how creative you are. You can start from the upper part to fix your flounce down to the lower part. Just whatever that comes into your mind, but make it very smooth and neat. Okay, I'll fix mine and bring it back for you to see. But by then, okay. I've joined the flounce. You can see it here. This is the design I chose to make for my flounce. Like I said before, you can make any design of your choice. There's so many designs. Not something I'm going to teach you. Once you know how to cut the flounce, follow the pattern I showed you in the video. In this video, after cutting your flounce, you can make any design of your choice. Just chose to make this design. Okay, so I hope you have learned this. Now the next thing we'll do is to fix the sleeve for this off-shoulder dress. We are going to make a sleeve for this off-shoulder. Now to make the sleeve, you need your round shoulder measurement. When I say round shoulder measurement, I mean round like this. Round. Okay? So you need your round shoulder measurement, and then you need also your neck measurement. Our round shoulder measurement here is 44. We have a round shoulder. I'm using a round shoulder for this cloth. The round of this, the person's shoulder, the actual measurement you took from the person is 44. The round shoulder is 44. And then the neck measurement means from one neck to the other, like this. See where the neck starts. We have a neck measurement here of 6 inches, okay, which is 12 inches. If I measure stretch out like this, I'll get 12. You can see my 12 here. So which means if I'm using 12 for this front, the back also will become 12. And then my neck measurement becomes 12, this 12 for the front and 12 for the back, which is 24. I'll subtract it from 44, which is the total round shoulder. So 44 minus 24, I'll get about 20. So I'll be working with 20 for my sleeves. 20 now becomes my sleeve measurement. Okay, now to get 20 becomes my shoulder measurement. Now to get one of it, I'll divide 20 by 2, which is 10. It then means from that 20, I'll use 10 here and I'll use 10 on this other side. I hope you are getting it. I'll use 10 on this side and then 10 on this other side, which means that 10 is going to be like 5 inches like this. See it? From here to here, this is 10 here. It's going to be like this. This is one of my shoulder measurement and the other 10 is going to come here, which means half of it is 5. Half of it is 5 to give me 10 for one, 10 for the other one. So we are going to cut it now. We are going to cut the sleeve now. Okay, this is the fabric I'll be using for my sleeve. I told you my sleeve is 10 on this side, 10 on the other side. The shoulder will be 10 inches and I'll use 10 on this other side. And that 10, when you fold this into 2, it becomes 5, like I showed you earlier. So, okay, here is the fabric I want to use for my sleeve. Now, to make this sleeve, I need to fold this fabric. See it here. I folded it into 2. I want to cut for the 2 sleeves together. Folded it into 2, so I'll fold it again to get the 2 sleeves. So I'm going to fold it like this so I can get for the 2 sleeves. Now what I'll do next, remember my shoulder, we're able to get 10 for each sleeve. Now this 10 divided by 2 is 5. My fabric also is on fold, so the 10 divided by 2, because my fabric is on fold, I'll get 5. Here is that 5 that I was supposed to use for my shoulder. I'll mark it out. This is the 5. And the next thing I'll do, at this edge, at this point here, at this edge here, I'll come down by 3 or 4 inches and then mark it. Now I'll have to connect this to this point. Already, this is the 5 inches I need for this shoulder. So here, remember, I'm not going to curve this like a normal shoulder sleeve. This is off shoulder, so I have to follow this pattern to curve it. It's not going to be too deep, and it's not going to be too straight. Okay, just like this. But if you cannot get the accurate shape, you can just use the fabric you are supposed to sew the sleeve on. You place that sleeve on the fabric like this and take whatever shape. You can see that 5 inches here. This is our 5 inches, and then you place it like this to get whatever shape you have on the sleeve. Okay, so with this now, I'm going to take my round sleeve, and I need a round armhole. I'm going to take my round armhole now. I need a round armhole of 14. When I divide it by 2, I'll get 7. So this is my 7 here. Plus 2 inches seam allowance, I'll get 9. So I'll connect this slanted to this. Sorry, like this. Now I'll cut it off from here. Don't need to cut much from this. Then just like this, and then I'll notch here. So I've been able to get my 2 sleeves. These are the 2 sleeves. And on this sleeve, I need a kind of bell sleeve down here. So this is what I'll use to create it. See it here. I'll be putting it at the mouth, at the end of my sleeve length. So it's going to come in here. Okay, so what I will do on this one, I'll put elastic. I'll sew it with like half an inch. Sew with about half an inch here. And then I'll fix in elastic on it and draw it. And when I'm done doing that, I'll fix it to the sleeve here. Okay, I'll do that, come back and show you. Thank you. Now to fix the sleeve on my fabric, see how I'll do it. This is the 5 inches we measured for shoulder. See the 5 inches here. So this 5 inches is going to stay here like this. And then this one will come, I'll sew this one like this, but this is going to stand straight like this. Okay, this is the 5 inches we measured for the shoulder. I'll place it like this, and then I'll sew this one like this. But remember, I have to turn this with a lining, or you can use bias to turn it up, any one of your choice. So when I'm done, you see my result.